So this video was originally supposed to be about the Percy Jackson and the Olympians book series, but after the announcement of Rick Riordan a few weeks ago, I decided to change that. So instead, this video is going to be about Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV series. Like all the other Percy Jackson fans, after hearing this news about the new TV series coming on Disney Plus, I screamed both in real life and in my chats. And most of my friends fell victim to my screaming emojis, messages, and gifs. Although I think if school was open and we were in class, they would have experienced something much worse than just my messages. So, getting back to the topic of the TV series, let's just say that the movies never existed. No, never. And because Rick Riordan is behind this TV series and he will be involved in it as much as possible, I'm assuming that everything they did wrong in the movies, which was everything, that won't happen in the TV series. And I'm going to be talking about everything new as much as possible. So, number one, the very first thing is the cast. I think when casting the characters for the TV series, they should go for everyone new, especially the demigods. And obviously they should look like their age, like they're 12, 13, 14, 16, like that. And even though if they aren't 12 or 13, they should at least look like they're 13 and around that age, not like they're 18 or late teens. Also, getting the characters' ethnicity right is very important. Also, hair. Hair is very important. This is not anime, I know that, but still, hair is very important to the story. We know this because you know what. And I'm already getting sidetracked by the movie. Damn it, Kishan, you should remember that the movies, they don't exist. The second thing I want to say is they should not, no, never, they should not try to turn down the violence, gore, or the intensity, the whole intensity of the show. Because Percy Jackson may be a middle grade book, but as the story goes on, it matures a lot. We get to see a lot of violent side of the characters, a lot mature and dark side of the characters, and everything was crucial to the story. That's what makes Percy Jackson Percy Jackson. So if Disney tries to take that away from the series, we won't get what we want. Speaking of mature stuff, everything about Gabe should not be ignored because in the first book, so we will get this in the first season, Percy's arc with Gabe is what makes us feel for him, what makes us feel sympathetic for Percy. If Disney tries to ignore Gabe's abusive and toxic relationship with Sally and his abusive behavior towards Percy, they will lose a big part of the fandom. Same thing goes for how we got rid of Gabe. If they do not include that part because it's not kid friendly, Alright, moving on to my third point. That was one. My third point. Things that I think should be added to the series and which will give it a lot more character and uniqueness are as follows. I'm already using numbers. Should I say this by A, B, C, like this or something like that? And putting up a disclaimer here, this isn't my idea. I once saw this in Instagram and I thought it was very cool. So whoever made this, thumbs up to you. This was an ingenious idea. So if I asked you what is one of the most iconic lines from the first book, except for you drool in your sleep, what is the most iconic part? You got your answers ready? Percy's very first line. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. This is one of the most, this has kind of become a trademark of the whole Percy Jackson universe. Percy's first few lines. Actually, every new protagonist Rick Riordan puts up in the books has a very unique and iconic first line. Percy has it, Magnus has it, Carter has it too, and obviously Apollo too has it. and they can use this line in their favor in the most best way possible. So imagine you started watching the series, and in the very beginning, at the very first scene, Percy says this: "Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're watching this and think you might be one, my advice for you is stop watching this and remove it from your TV series collection," or something like that. Something along that line. Not only will this be super funny and nostalgic to the book fans, this will also be a great way to attract new TV series fans and fans from other mediums that haven't tried Percy Jackson before. B. So this is the second thing I want them to implement in the whole series. Another iconic thing about Percy and the first 5 books is Percy's narration. They were hilarious, and it gets you to smile whenever you read them or remember them. So if they implement this in the series, I know it will be a bit of hard, I think. I mean, they don't have to go all out and put out every bit of narration Percy gives in the books, but if they manage to add Percy's narration to the story, it will be excellent. Just think. When the part of each chapter starts, they could do this. Like in the chapter in which Percy blasts Clarice's face with toilet water, they could start the chapter by, "And then I became the supreme lord of the bathroom," or something like that. And these small little changes and things like Percy's narration and starting up the whole series with a bang, not with a bang, like in a great manner, will make the whole series a lot better. Point number 4, the point in which I say, please don't do this. Point A of please don't do this, and I'll say this up close, and that is, please don't make it seem like Percy and Annabeth like each other from the very first scene. Yes, I know, Percy and Annabeth have a crush on each other from the very start. But they don't show it and try to ignore or at least not understand the fact until later on in the books. In Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, their friendship was always more important than any kind of romantic relationship. Heck, the fact that Percy and Annabeth were friends, best friends, and then they became lovers is the reason Perciveth is so strong and OTP today. On the topic of Percy's romantic life, Rachel and Calypso, these two will be in the first 5 seasons. Disney, you have to handle them very, very, very carefully. It's very easy to prioritize Perciveth and forget about their point of views. In a lot of cases, we the fans who have been reading the books for all these years are guilty of this. So Disney, don't make this mistake. Rachel and Calypso, they are not evil, or they did not try to break Perciveth or anything like that. In the case of Calypso, it was sort of like her curse. She was supposed to love everyone who came into her island. There wasn't much to do about that here. In case of Rachel, yes, she felt attracted to Percy, but it wasn't a romantic attraction. No, not at all. Rachel thought this too, and Percy thought it too. They did date for a while, but Rachel realized this and broke up with him. In the end, she did realize that it wasn't because she felt romantically attracted to Percy, but rather it was her destiny to become the oracle that led her to Percy. Even though in the beginning Annabeth was a little jealous and harsh towards Rachel, but after Percy and Rachel broke up, Annabeth made peace with Rachel and they became quite good friends, I think. Side note to the fans here, I know this has died down a bit in the recent years, but please don't go hating on Rachel again. Please don't start that again. Rachel did not try to create a rift in Percy and Annabeth. And last but not least, my 5th point, and it's about the characters. I talked about Percy, Annabeth, and Rachel and Calypso quite a bit, but there are other characters that should be handled carefully because they play a vital role in the whole first five books. And they will do that in the first five seasons too. I am sure of that. First of all, Grover. And I will say one line for that. Don't even think or try to make Grover useless because he is not useless. Then we have Beckendorf and Selena. Their relationship and their characters are very important too. Also, Zoe's arc was one of my favorite arcs in the whole series. I don't know why. It just felt very close and precious to me. So Zoe Bianca should get a good treatment. Then, in case of the gods and goddesses, Hermes, Ares, Artemis, and Hestia. So Artemis, because Artemis is very interesting and she is different from all the other gods and goddesses. So make sure she is handled carefully too. And the final character who should be treated very, 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 and another very carefully is Nico. Yes, we know what happens in Heroes of Olympus, what Nico confesses there, but make sure you don't let it show in the first series. Because when the books were coming out, the fans, they didn't know any of this. They were totally dumbfounded when they found out the truth in Heroes of Olympus. So make sure you play the story in such a manner that we feel Nico is admiring Percy and he likes Percy. But when we watch Heroes of Olympus, in case that comes out in later down the years, we understand what those feelings truly were. Because that will make the confession of Nico, Heroes of Olympus, a lot more impactful, and the new fans will also be able to enjoy the full thing. And I think that's almost it. There's probably 100 more things I want to talk about for what they should do in the book, but I'm running out of time to talk about those. You, on my behalf, can do that though. You can write down your thoughts and opinions and everything you would like to see in the TV series, upcoming TV series on Disney Plus, down in the comments. So leave down your opinions there. And fingers crossed, I hope that finally we get a deserved series that we should have gotten years ago. Also, I'd like to show and express my gratitude and love to Rick Riordan for making this possible. Without him, I don't think it would have been possible to finally get this. So until next time everyone, sayonara and keep the fire burning.